And here I am live, so I get to make the errors live in person here. So bear with me. It's got a lot going on right now, kind of juggling a lot of things, and so much has happened in the last 12 days. It's just been unbelievable. I've been glued to X and just amazing what's transpired. It's coming fast and furious like I thought. It's between Doge, between the firings, between the taxes, the tariffs. It's just the word chaos was being spun around by the left on X. So it's just hard to take it all in, and we're trying to guess where things are going to go. I've got some theories on it. My theories are still where I thought they would be. I did believe that when Trump's administration got in, they would come out fast and furious, and they did. They started making lots of cuts and lots of firings and making a lot of changes right out of the gate. So the one thing that I kind of go back on is, who is Trump? You look at his first term, and then you look at his office, his Oval Office again today. He's got a picture of Andrew Jackson, the portrait of Andrew Jackson over his desk. So who is Andrew Jackson? What did Andrew Jackson do? Why would he have that image? Like if you look behind me, I've got a picture of George Washington, right? So there's a guy that, it's his character, right? It's the leading founding father, someone that was always revered as a good character, solid man. Even though the school system has kind of tried to destroy those images of our founding fathers. But he's got a portrait of Andrew Jackson. So Andrew Jackson was a sound money guy. He fought against the second bank in the United States. So he ended up, I think it was vetoing the formation of a central bank, the second central bank in the United States. So in a way, he defeated the central banks. And Trump is not a central bank guy. He is a sound money guy. So Andrew Jackson favored hard money policy based on gold and silver coins. And he advocated for simple, frugal, minimal government, kind of the Jeffersonian principles of limited taxation. And he was focused on reducing the national debt. And I think McKinley was just before him, and they used a lot of the tariffs to reduce that national debt. So that was kind of I think that's Trump's approach to the debt, the spending, the corruption, everything throughout the government. I do believe he's a sound money guy, and I know they talked about using Bitcoin. I couldn't think of the word. Bitcoin as kind of a benchmark of sound money. I don't know how that's going to play in, but all those cues are kind of taken in on who this man is and kind of what the approach might be. So a lot of this, I'm guessing, like, I don't know if anyone out there really knows where this is going. A lot of people are just freaking out by chaos, saying, oh my gosh, these tariffs are going to cause massive inflation. The markets run, the bonds up, and, expecting massive inflation on the tariffs. And I thought the tariffs would be more of a negotiating policy, and they are. These new tariffs that were just proposed, the 25% on Canada and Mexico. The story and that has been put out there is this is a negotiation tactic to strengthen the border, right? We've got fentanyl coming into this country, massive amounts through Mexico, and then recently there was a big lab in Canada that was producing something like 2 million lethal doses, and a lot of that was coming into the U.S. A lot of that was staying in Canada too. So it's kind of a crackdown on this fentanyl crisis that's destroying our country. It's destroying Canada. It's destroying Mexico. So I think that's the primary base of this. What I've been told is this is not the negotiations for the trade yet. This is just strictly about getting the border secured to try to restrict that drug trade. He's going down on the border to fight the cartels that are moving the human trafficking and the drugs through and the border and into the U.S. So I believe this is all part of that. And then the trade war starts later. So that I don't even think we've started the trade war. So this is going to probably get resolved in the next couple weeks. I kind of look at this as if you're a eBay or Amazon seller and Amazon changes their policies, you can yell, you can scream, but ultimately you need to sell your product on Amazon and you're going to pay their fees. And there are other markets they can sell to, but not as easily, and they're probably not going to get as good a deals with trading with the U.S. The shipping costs to China, and China's got pretty strict import guidelines as well. They're not exactly wanting to import much goods and services, so that leaves kind of that European market. So that kind of is where I see this all at, and I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have insight into the government. I'm just trying to guess at what the strategy is and what they're going to do and kind of how that might play out. And they're a little more aggressive than I thought on the tariffs right out of the gate. I didn't see this fentanyl 25%. I don't believe these are the trade tariffs yet. I think that's going to come later. And then the next wave this is where I had put a lot of, my belief on where rates will be at the end of the year, interest rates, is everyone was focused in on tariffs going to create inflation and force rates to stay higher. I don't think that's the case. I think DOGE is going to crush inflation. So any inflation that comes from this is going to be crushed by how aggressive they're going to cut. So right out of the gate, there was it 2 million employees roughly in the federal government, or was it 3 million? And they sent out the letter, they being DOGE, that they want anyone that wants to take this buyout, 7-month severance, to just go ahead and resign. They'll get 7-month severance. And then they expect about 200,000 or 10% to take that deal. Okay, so that's going to move 200,000 people onto the unemployment roll. Now, they do get severances, so it's not going to impact spending much at the federal level, so there's probably not a lot of urgency to cut rates at that point by the Fed. Okay, so that's just phase one. Now, phase two has already started, and we're not even a week into this, so this is how fast this is coming. Let's see, the NGOs are on the chopping block. So those are non-government organizations, the entities that kind of do a lot of the government's dirty work. So it's not coming directly from the government. So this is how they funnel money to different organizations throughout the world. And it also goes to nonprofits. There's some legitimate stuff in these NGOs as well. And that's kind of accounts for a huge chunk of our spending. Let's see, I looked this up here, and let's see, as of 2022, NGOs employed about 12.8 million people, accounting for 9.9% of the private sector employment. So that's 12.8 million jobs. 12.8 million jobs coming off of federal government money. This is why we have this huge debt, right? This is why we don't have a balanced budget, is we're funneling so much taxpayer money not directly to the employees. They're cutting that, right? We already got 200,000 right out of the gate before they even started cutting. And then now we have 12.8 million jobs on the chopping block with going after NGOs. So out of that 12.8, we don't know how many they're going to cut, right? So let's just pretend they only cut 20% of those. I think that's a pretty conservative figure. What did Musk cut at Twitter, like 70 or 80%? So let's just say they just cut 20% of that. That's like 2.5 million jobs, 2,560,000 job cuts. Then add in the 200,000 initial cut at the federal level. That's 2,760,000, a conservative estimate on job loss. So what does that do to the unemployment rate? Got a frog in my throat here. So Perplexity, I'll type that into Perplexity. If we do $2,760,000 job cuts, what does that do to the unemployment rate? It says it'll move it to 6.57% unemployment rate. So some believe that the Fed is going to cut the rate if unemployment gets above 4.3 or 4.8%. So somewhere in the mid fours, it's believed that the Fed will start to take action because then the market's softening, and they'll try to stimulate some stuff they don't want to cut if jobs are going well, because they don't want to overheat the economy. But you take 2,760,000 people and you put them on unemployment, and you drive that unemployment rate up to 6.57. That economy is going to be hurting, because a lot of these NGOs aren't going to get that severance package. So that's going to be immediate to the economy. And then I think the Fed takes action. Right now, I think that's a 2.5 spread. I just had that open a minute ago. Let me try to find that. What are we at? We're like 4.5% 10-year Treasury. So, if they cut, maybe that Treasury will start to yield, the bond market will change, and then we'll start to see interest rates cut down. Okay, so this is a lot of moving parts and pieces, and this is a lot of speculation. I get it. It takes a little faith to try to follow this. I just had some notes open here, and I closed them out. So, overall picture, I believe that they're going after these job cuts. One is to reduce the federal spending. Their targeted goal is to pay down that federal debt, right? And that's a big, big number. That's bankrupting the country. And, people say, well, you can't bankrupt the country, right? Well, you can. I mean, you can. We'll get into the semantics on it. They just print money, whatever. But it's taken the resources away from the people and the industry and the businesses, and it's sucking it. All that labor and all that time that you work 6 months out of the year, 5 months out of the year, and all that money goes to pay for these NGOs, these federal employees, and all that wasted dollars. Now, there are good spending that happens there, but it's not 5-6 months of your life every year. And then that doesn't even cover it, right? Then they're spending like 3 times that. So even if you work 12 months out of the year, you're still not going to pay it, because they're over 100% of production now. What is it, 110 or 120% of everybody's labor is being spent every year. So this is unsustainable. So the idea, the plan with this administration is to cut the federal spending, right? So job cuts will cut that federal spending. They're going after the NGOs. They're going after the employees. They're going after the waste. And they're going hard and aggressive, and they're going fast. And then that's going to lead to a lot of job cuts. That's going to force unemployment rate up, which would make the Fed reduce rates to get things going. Then the lower interest rates theoretically would increase business investment, right? Cheaper cost to borrow to expand business. Tariffs will start to pay down the debt along with reducing the spending. And then the tariffs would also increase manufacturing opportunities. So allow opportunities for business to expand and start to fill in everything that we've outsourced. So we have sent all our manufacturing overseas, or 90-some% of it, whatever that ratio is. So some of that stuff is going to come back. It's still a global economy. It's not going to all come back, but we're going to get a chunk of that manufacturing back, and that's part of the plan. We're going to put these people back to work producing goods and services rather than riding on the wagon or sucking off the system. When it's tax dollars, it's costing everyone that's working part of their wages. And then let's see, business investment. So once you start building these manufacturing plants or all these jobs, service industries, that's going to create jobs. So that's real productive jobs. That's goods and services. That makes the economy go. And then once you have these jobs going, you're going to create demand for more housing. You're going to get more household formations. And then lower federal spending will pay down the debt. So that's the overall plan. Now, there's a lot of holes in this theory. I'm not an economist, but this is the way I see that they're trying to accomplish this. There's a possibility that there's so much pain involved on these quick changes. I don't think so. I'm just basing this off of a lot of Argentina's, Javier Milei. He went in and he cut, they had over 200% inflation rate down in Argentina. And he went in there and he's been consulting with Elon Musk and Trump's administration on how he cut. And he cut the ridiculous red tape, the the rules, the regulations, the government waste and spending, and he slashed and slashed, and he cut that 200% inflation rate down to, I don't even remember what it is now. It's still high. It's like 15 or 20% now, but he just massively cut, and he turned that economy around. And they actually have a budget not a deficit. For the first time, they don't have a deficit. I can't think of the name of the word I'm looking for. So I'm looking at that track record. I don't think we've had really a point in history where we've gone from this complete socialism to all of a sudden turning it around to go to more of a capitalist approach. But right now, this country is shifting gears and shifting fast. And there's a lot of people that are used to the old system that are freaking out. If you go online on X, the media is one of them. And then a lot of the diehards are not sure what's happening and they're freaking out. So there's a lot of fear and panic right now. And that's where the opportunity lies. So if you're a real estate investor, now's a good time to step in. I do believe that things are going to come out really, really good here. I do believe they're going to get enough of these cuts where we're going to start to see the savings. We're going to see interest rates drop. I do think we're going to see that in the second half of the year. I've got a side bet with Michael Zuber, which I don't know if I'm going to win. I think it was for $1. And I said first quarter, which only gave me like 60 days, where I thought interest or unemployment rate would be above 5%. So I don't know if we're going to make it, but the direction, I think I'm still right on. The actual timing on it and the actual number, I may be off. I may miss it by a month or two, but I think we're heading that direction where unemployment's going to spike once they clean house on this, the government spending, the NGOs. There's another NEIC, I forget what that is. That's another massive way on the NGO to move money, like to Ukraine. I think they just did not an official audit on it, but who's that leader in Ukraine just said that he's only gotten like 50% of the money that was promised him. So they sent him like $175 billion and he only got like 70 billion of it. So where did that other money go to? That kind of waste and corruption out there, that's just bankrupting our country. So that's the stuff that's getting cleaned up. That's the stuff that's been destroying and just weighing this economy down. I do think if they can accomplish this, I do think we're going to hit some manufacturing. We're going to hit this job growth. I think we're going to see a revitalization like we saw in the 50s and 60s and 70s. There's a local guy here, talk show guy. He was pretty popular actually nationwide for a while. He hosted Rush Limbaugh a few times. And would always say that the peak of Western civilization was the 1970s. And that's kind of when that World War II generation was kind of hitting that retirement stage. And they had built up this great economy, and we had everything being manufactured here, and the culture, the prosperity was great. I do think we're going to hit those times again if they can accomplish this. Right now, we've put so much dead weight on the workers and the producers of this country. If they cut these regulations, give incentive, and allow some competition where we can actually compete with, foreign labor, I think we're going to be in a much better position. I do understand the capitalists to say free markets, right? So if we let total free markets go, all our bookkeeping, all our accounting, all our paperwork are going to go to the college educated that got educated in our country here and are out in the Philippines, and we can, instead of paying $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year for that job, we can go pay them $5 an hour in the Philippines because of the exchange rate. So that's not good either. Do you lift up the entire world before the American people? Maybe it's time we start looking and taking care of ourselves for a while. Right, wrong, or indifferent, you don't have to agree with it. I just think this is the game plan of this administration, and I think they're going to go at it hard. They've got the ability to do so, and I think they're going to make an impact. I think the second half of this year is going to be really good for real estate. I think we're going to see rates closer to 6%, possibly dipping below 6%, but again, it's a wild card. No one knows. You can sit there and it's like trying to price a house. You can count all the nails that went in it, all the boards and everything else, and the weight of it and the square footage, and try to come up with a cost comparison. But it's going to be what the market's going to be. So we try to speculate how the market's going to react to this, and then take a guess. Call it Kentucky windage. You're kind of trying to lob that shot in from a couple hundred yards away, and calculating the windage and the drop. So those are my predictions. We'll see how this comes out, but in the meantime, I've been glued to X, just taking it all in. There's so much information out there, and that's just kind of where I see things going. This next week's going to be hopefully just as amazing as far as changes coming. We do need changes, so we'll see where this one goes. So if you got any questions, shoot me a line, and we'll talk soon. Have a good one. Take care.